the 3rd Army and the 19th Tactical Air Command of the 8th Air Force is marked by more than 40,000 white crosses. The trail of the 3rd Army and the 19th Tactical Air Command of the 8th Air Force is marked by more than 40,000 white crosses. 40,000 dead Americans.
We were young and soldiers called to dedicate our lives in the name of God and country. Do what's just for us, though do what's right. A hot band of brothers waiting on our chance to add one more page unto the victory dance. Here am I, Lord, send me. Victory lies in the spirit of the lives of the men who died for me.
Then I heard the voice of the Lord saying, "Whom shall I send? And who will go for us?" And I said, "Here am I. Send me."
This is Michael Broderick, Marine Corps veteran, actor, and Gallant Few board member. You are listening to the New American Veteran on Vets on Media. Now here's Carl Monger.
Hey, this is Carl Monger. I'm coming live from the Best Ranger Competition Social Night, and I've got the mobile office set up. We're live on Google Hangout as well, so you can dial in. You can listen to us right now. So I'm going to see if I can get one of these Rangers that's hanging out in the hallway to come in here and talk to me. So I'm going to mute this for a second so you can't hear me yelling. I got Ranger Mike Schlitz coming in here. Hey, Sergeant Major, how are you? We are, if you want to get your mouth a little close to that microphone.
I have a whole line of people.
You have a line of people? We'll send one of them in, and then I'll bring you in towards the end. Yeah, yeah. So, then we'll do Mike later, like you said.
So I'm trying to get you either Dexter or
Super. Awesome. Thank you. All right, so I got Mike Schlitz here running out there trying to grab some VIPs. You know, it's nothing like putting together something at the last minute because we thought this would be kind of cool. But we wanted to see if we could talk to some of these Rangers that have had long and distinguished careers. Best Ranger competition's been going on now for some 30 years, and it's basically 62 hours of how bad can the world suck, and see who are the last buddy teams standing at the end of the competition. They started with 50 teams. I'm not sure exactly how many teams are left right now. I need to get an updated status on that, and I'll get Ranger Schlitz to run around and do that for me here in just a minute. What I'm looking at right now, it doesn't help you all a whole lot, but as the crowd starts milling in the front door, we've got Ranger Mike Ranger, who's a Ranger Hall of Famer, Silver Star recipient from the Vietnam War, and former Executive Vice President of the U.S. Army Ranger Association. He's standing out here in the hallway. So perhaps we'll get him to come in and sit down with us here shortly. But, you know, it doesn't do a whole lot of good for me to just tell you what's going to happen. So let's stand by here for just a minute. While we're waiting to find out if I can get somebody in here, I'm going to do a quick station ID, and then I might go ahead and do one of our public service announcements.
Tex Turner.
Okay, got Tex Turner on his way in here. Gallant Fuse, the New American Veteran, is proud to be part of the Vets on Media Network.
Was this just radio or?
Sir, this is internet. This is an internet radio, and actually I've got a live YouTube broadcast going on also right here. So we get to look sharp for everybody. Well, sir, for the audience, I know who you are, but tell us who you are.
Well, I'm Tex Turner. Was in the Army for almost 32 years. Graduated from West Point in 1959. and got in airborne Ranger units all of my career. Was a Ranger instructor when I came back from my first tour in Vietnam back in '66. Then came back to the Ranger Department back in 1982 and took it over and was the director of the Ranger Department until 1985 when I left to go back to West Point to be the director of military instruction.
But sir, when you were at the Ranger Department, I was a student there in 1983.
Really?
Yes, sir.
You went through in '83?
I did.
Put you through Ranger
You put me through Ranger
That's why
School.
you're so ugly.
and I remember on the Marine Corps birthday, you brought us all cake for the Marine Corps birthday. I was there.
Was it down in Florida?
I want to say it was in Florida, but
Yeah.
I'm a little fuzzy on exactly what happened
I
where.
remember going down there and telling the Marines who were in your class that they had to cut that cake, which was sitting on a stump in the middle of the swamps down there, and you all were up to your neck in water, and that the Marines had to cut that big cake that I brought down there for the Marine Corps birthday into equal pieces for everybody in the
And
patrol.
it was awesome. I had a slice that was about that big.
They did it with a K-bar knife and did it extremely well.
And I think the honor graduate of that class was a Marine Corps captain.
Yes, it was.
And he was a good man.
The Marines, of course, sent their best men because they didn't want to be outdone. By
Exactly. I've got somebody listening here to make sure that we're getting all the sound. Mic volume knob right underneath. I think I've got you turned up enough. There we go. Let's try that. Since you're a little bit farther away from the mic, I've got Adam Bird, who's one of the co-founders of Vets on Media, is monitoring us remotely and making sure that all the sound's coming through well. So, sir, then you went to West Point?
Yeah, I went up to West Point in '85. Was the director of military instruction there until I retired in 1990. I had to retire in '89 because it was my 30-year point. But I got recalled for 2 years to set up a special military arts and sciences course for the cadets at West Point.
Wow.
And I stayed there for almost 2 years more and set that course up, a major at instruction. And then retired and moved down to Williamsburg, Virginia, and have lived there.
It's a beautiful part of the country.
Ever since. And I haven't worked a day for money since then.
When you've earned it, though.
But I have joined every organization in Williamsburg, the police department, William and Mary colleges there in Williamsburg, and on several committees there. And I just enjoy life volunteering. And I'm also, right now, and for the past 10 years, have been working to get students to West Point. Men and women from
Nice.
Local high schools in the Virginia Peninsula area. And we're doing pretty good. We're getting some very, very fine young men.
I've had the opportunity twice with the congressman out of Wichita, Kansas area, Mike Pompeo,
Yeah.
who's a West Point graduate.
Yeah.
He has had me sit on his selection team twice.
Oh, really?
So I've got to interview the high school kids, and that is
Well, I know
that is an amazing experience.
Yeah, I know what you do because I sit on Congressman Rob Whitman's
Mhm.
selection board every year down in the Virginia 1st Congressional District. And it's really satisfying.
Do the
See,
cadets know who you are?
You mean the
Or the potential cadets,
No.
the students that are
no,
coming
they have
in?
no idea. They see my ugly face and get scared.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really satisfying to see such fine young men and women who are willing to go to West Point and sometime later go into harm's way to protect our freedoms. We have
And they know right now this is not a safe time to go in the military, and they're still coming out.
They know it full well, big time. And we have some very fine young men and women going in. I just wish we could get some more good football players here at West Point.
They don't pay enough.
I mean, after being beaten so often by the Navy in the last 12 years, we're ready to beat Navy this year, I hope.
Go Army.
Go Army. Beat
Sir,
Navy.
thank you for being here.
My pleasure.
It's an honor to talk to you.
Good to meet you. The honor's all mine.
Thank you, sir.
Talk to you later.
Well, that was Colonel Retired Tex Turner, who is a member of the Ranger Hall of Fame and also was at that time the commander of the Ranger Department when I went through Ranger School back in 1983. So let's see if Ranger Schlitz out there can bring me somebody else, and I'm going to adjust the camera over just a little bit because I want to get less of me and more of whoever comes in. There we go. I've got it attached to the back of a chair, a swivel chair, and the doggone thing decided to rotate on me. So let's see who we can get now. Let's see who he's got coming in. I'm sorry?
I'm sorry, I keep knowing people.
Oh, yeah, I'm the same way.
Ranger Block, how are you? Carl Munger.
Carol Munger.
Have a seat here and kind of lean forward to that microphone. Make sure I've got you unmuted. I am a veteran of the 1st Ranger Battalion, and I work with a group called Vets on Media, and we have a various number of radio shows that actually go out through the internet. So right now, not only are we going out through the voice on the internet, but we also have a live YouTube broadcast. So everybody gets to see our ugly faces while they're watching this. But the cool thing about it is, and I'm very glad, just to give you a little bit of background on why we're doing this, I started Gallant Few 5 years ago to help Ranger veterans transition off active duty. So we connect with them and we help them by getting them a Ranger buddy in their same hometown when they go home. So this is a way, by talking to Rangers, Ranger Hall of Famers, well-known Rangers that are coming here for the social, it gives the audience out there somebody to look at and know who we're talking to, touch a little bit of history, internet, but also makes people interested and want to come watch. So that's why we're here. So Ranger Block, tell me about yourself. Tell me about your Ranger background.
Ranger background. I went through in class of 9-60. They kept me. I was with the PT committee. Then I came in from. I was reassigned here.
What's the PT committee?
Physical training committee that was down on main post, which was part of the Ranger department.
Oh, how about that?
Master Sergeant Nixon was my.
That's why it's so important, because the way things change over the years, to learn about the way things have been here at Benning is amazing.
Well, at that time, the PT committee was down on main post, and the combat conditioning committee was the committee that taught the Ranger School. Then they changed the PT committee to the combat conditioning committee and made the committee out here the Benning Ranger committee.
How about that?
That's what we did. We taught Ranger students. I was an instructor out here. Oh my goodness. 1960, 61, 62, part of 63, part of 64, 65, 66, part of 67,
wow.
69, part of 70. Old homework.
You trained most of the leaders who went over to Vietnam.
I had fun. It was fun. This was probably one of my best assignments I ever had in the Army.
How long were you in the Army?
I put 20 years in. I retired first sergeant. I retired out of 2nd Bat. I was the original first sergeant for B Company when we formed the Bat.
Okay, all right.
And had good officers, good NCOs. Company
was Jim Dubik one of your officers in that company, or
Dubik was headquarters company, if I'm not mistaken. He was headquarters company commander. Bob Howard was Alpha Company.
Medal Honor.
Lawson Magruder was my company commander. Bill Old was Charlie Company commander. First Sergeant was Jan Sullivan, Charlie Company. I had Bravo.
Who became Sergeant Major of the Army.
And the Alpha Company had First Sergeant Knapp. Headquarters Company had First Sergeant Mattea. And Colonel Baker is the best guy you ever wanted to meet.
It's amazing, this community, and I wish that the rest of the Army, that their regiments would develop the history and figure out who was where, because it is such an important part of our lineage to know that.
Well, when you figure that out, in my company alone, I had Captain Magruder was my company commander. I had Jim Jackson was one of my platoon leaders. Bill Lazinski,
who went on to be an RCO,
leaders.
regimental commander.
Eldon Bargewell was one of my platoon leaders. I couldn't ask for a better company.
And Lawson Magruder retired as a 3-star general. He was a brigade commander in Hawaii, and I was in the sister brigade, so I knew him there because we did some things in the field together.
Magruder retired as a 3-star. Eldon retired as a 2-star. Bill Lazinski retired as a 1-star. Jim Jackson retired as a 2-star.
And Dubik was a 3-star when he retired.
Yeah, Bill Lazinski and Jim Jackson were both regimental commanders.
Okay, he's asking me to turn your microphone up just to the right a little bit, and hopefully that will help. So I've got one of the co-founders of Vets on Media, Adam Bird, is monitoring us here remotely and letting me know if we need to adjust the sound any, because we want to make sure everybody gets to hear this. So since
when we formed, it's amazing. When they formed the first bat, Sergeant Major Neil Gentry, he and I were instructors together in the Ranger Department. He and I were in Vietnam together with the 101st. He came back here. He went to the infantry school board over there, and I went down as a first sergeant down the airborne department. And when they formed first bat, he came over to me. He said, "Bill, I want you to be one of my first sergeants." I said, "No way, Neil. No way, Neil. I'm going to Sergeant Major's Academy." He says, "Well, I made Sergeant Major without going to the academy." I said, "They didn't have the academy when you made Sergeant Major." No, you can't kid me. But went there, and then I found out they were looking for a first sergeant up in second bat when they started to form it, and I got a hold of Sergeant Major and Jan Charlevin. He came from the mountain camp, and I came from Benning phase. Asked him, still looking for first sergeants. We volunteered. And he pulled our records on that and called us back. Said,
nice.
You still want to be up here? And said, "Yes, we do. We got orders. That's where we went."
So how does it make you feel now when you look at the modern day regiment to know that you were one of the very first and second battalion?
Well, when we formed the second bat, okay, who envisioned that we would get a third bat and a regimental headquarters? It was like, okay, General Abrams said, "I want Rangers, we got the first bat, second bat." And he said, "Well, one's on the East Coast, one's on the West Coast. That's going to be it, And then 10 years later, what happens? We get a third bat and regimental headquarters. And, outstanding. These kids out there have done a fabulous job. I am so
They're
proud
amazing.
of them. I am so proud. From the beginnings that we did to see what it evolved into, no way.
And in the Army of the 70s, when Abrams issued that charter, it was going the wrong way.
Yeah.
And the example of 1st and 2nd Ranger Battalion, the entire professionalism of the Army, in my opinion, the entire U.S. military owes a tremendous amount right back to the initiator, the initial members of the 1st and 2nd Ranger Battalion. So I mean, when you talk about setting the standards, following the standards, leading the way, I mean, one of the reasons why I'm so happy to talk to you is because you're one of the select few that has been so influential in the development of the Army. And you might not think that way from your perspective.
I did my job.
Sure.
That's what I was doing.
Sure.
I did it as an instructor. I did it, when I went to second bat.
But so by the time that I got to 1st Ranger Battalion and from 90 to 93, we had to live up to the standards that were set starting in 1974. And the officers and the NCOs that were there had moved up now and were in more senior positions in the other battalions, and so they had pinged in and out of the Army like they're supposed to. And that the whole thing, it just rose the entire level of the military.
When you look at the NCOs that were in second bat and first bat, and all the sergeant majors that came out of there, that really had an influence on the rest of the Army.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just fabulous. It's phenomenal. Like I say, we look back, we just did a job. I was thinking about that when I was coming in. I was saying, we did our job, we did it right, and had nothing to do with politics.
Right.
This thing about politically right. We did the right thing at the right time, and we did our job.
And you did it well.
Well, we did it well.
Ranger Block, thank you.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure to talk to you. I appreciate you being on the show. Thank you.
Sir.
Ranger, lead away.
Rangers, lead away.
All right, let's see who Mike brings me next. Mike is diligently scanning the room out there, and I think he's got a line full of people. I have another one coming. It's almost like Easter, trying to figure out what surprise he's going to send my way. And we're broadcasting live from the S5 shop of the Ranger Training Brigade.
Find the first one. Rummel was the original first bat.
I've got Ranger Schlitz out there is gathering people for me. If you can send him my way, that'd be awesome. I was able to, I took a little handheld recorder. Okay. He's going to see if he can get one of the former Best Ranger competition winners who's kind of incognito out there. He's got kind of a scruffy face, and he may be running away from Mike so that he doesn't have to appear on the show. But Best Ranger competition, if you don't know what the Best Ranger competition is, 4 days, 61 or 62 hours, where buddy teams have to complete every event, and at the very end, the buddy team that has accumulated the greatest number of points, or the greatest, the fastest times and the most accurate shooting and all of that other stuff, that point total leads to who the ultimate winner of the Best Ranger competition is. And sometimes it comes right down to the very end, where they have a 2-mile buddy run, and they have to cross the finish line together for it to count. So let's mute my microphone here real quick and see if Mike's bringing me somebody in. Here we have Ranger Amenta. Are you the next victim?
I am. Yes. I am the next guy. I would not call myself.
You don't need to worry about the curling iron there. That just fell out after Ranger Block was there. I don't know what the deal was. So we just had the first sergeant from B Company 275 that came in and talked here for a minute.
That's my old company. In fact.
You got to track him down and say hi. So I've got Ranger Tommy Amenta. We are live on YouTube as well.
What's going on, guys? How we doing?
So how's Best Ranger competition for you?
I'm loving it. You had said, like I said, that I got to go meet Mr. Block now.
Come a little closer to the microphone, and you know what? I'll unmute you, and then I'll be able to hear you very well.
That's even better.
Perfect.
So, no, you had mentioned Mr. Block being the first sergeant for BCO 275, which is where I grew up as a tiny little private, but I had not seen my first sergeant, Duke Durkin, Brendan. I had seen him in years, and I know that you know him from 175.
I've got some funny pictures of him.
And so he was out at the day stakes, and I'm like, what's going on? And then he knew a couple other people that I knew, so we ended up there talking, and it's just the thing I love about this with the community is that you run into people and you run into old friends, and in the middle of the epitome of Ranger suffering. All of us, I'm an old timer now.
We're having a great time, and they're sucking.
We're eating hot dogs and drinking Cokes, and like, oh wow, that dude almost bit it. That looks like it sucks. Not with no sympathy in our hearts whatsoever for these guys.
Exactly.
But just having a wonderful time. It's good to see you, by the way. It's been a little while.
It has been. Now, Ranger Up. You are one of the owners of Ranger Up.
I am I'm the COO and a minority partner. The president and CEO, Nick, who I know you know really well, he's actually up in Canada. He texted me. He landed safely to corner Tim Kennedy first fight against Michael Bisping here on Wednesday.
And it's live Wednesday. It's live, Fox Sports 1.
Fox Sports 1. Mm-hmm. Everyone be there to show your support for Tim as he goes out and smashes the Brit.
You guys have had a lot of fun, but now Ranger Up started as a T-shirt company that Nick Palmisano was doing while he worked full time for a great big equipment company.
For a Fortune 50 company,
mm-hmm.
And he decided that he was going to come in and.
That was Candace Bryant that just popped across the screen there and is in front of the camera now. You just have to be careful which direction you bend over here because. See, we've got a camera over here, and we're live on YouTube right now.
This is the person that makes Best Ranger run, so if she needs to come in here, Candace.
That's right.
Candace, whatever you need.
Sorry.
Hi, Candace.
No, not at all. Like, I think they think I'm trying to make fun of her. I'm not. Like, seriously, if she's like, hey, Tom, I need you outside and we need to talk, I'm going to be like,
yeah, well, please, what did I do now?
First, but okay.
Candace Bryant is amazing. How's Best Ranger going?
It's going great. I'm sorry to crash the party.
And you need me to get you something from over here while you guys...
There's name tags right over there.
Okay. This is a way I could... Okay, next I'm going to talk to...
So that's where they went. You're stealing them off the table
again. Exactly. There you go.
All right.
Thank you.
How many teams are still in, Candace?
I really don't know.
I didn't get a chance to check the board myself.
I get to do all the internal operations, so I don't even get out on the field to know what's going on. So actually the briefing tonight that we're going to get, this special briefing from the Colonel tonight, will be the first time I get to see him.
Now, people out there may not know that the Best Ranger competition is always looking for sponsors for the event. So your business can come out, can sponsor. But you want to talk real briefly about what that is, and then you need to fly because you got people waiting on you.
I do. Yeah, Yeah, the National Ranger Association stands beside the Ranger Training Brigade and helps support a lot of stuff that they're doing. And really, the mission of the National Ranger Association is help support the legacy, history, and lineage and esprit de corps of the Ranger community. And they do that by supporting the Best Ranger competition, the Ranger Hall of Fame, the Distinguished Member of the Brigade, and countless other things. And so, yeah, we'd love to have people come out, make contributions, be a part of the family. And that's really the story that I tell, is that you come out, you're part of the family. We're having a big family reunion out here for this week, and we'd love to see everybody come around.
Super.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Thank
Candace.
you. Sorry.
No, again, you're good.
Anytime you want to come walk in front of the camera, you're welcome to do so.
2016's on the board out at
2016's remaining?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So
Okay, so we were talking about from the genesis of Nick's basement, making T-shirts.
It started off as a hobby, and he had another guy that he was working on with it, because he first started it at business school, and he was working with the ROTC, just giving back, volunteering his time, and the kids are like, how is it that I can get like 100 Che Guevara shirts and all the hippies can wear them on campus, but there's no cool military shirts, and the ones that there are, there's skulls and flames and swords and knives sticking out of the skull with snakes coming out of the mouth and death from above and blah, 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 blah.
I bought a couple of those, and I've never worn them. They're
Yeah,
at the bottom
no.
of my...
And so Nick's like, huh? And he's like, I'm a clever guy. I can try and do this. And he is. He's funny as hell. So we started doing this sort of as a hobby. They started getting a reception. Where I come along is about a year and a half into the company. A friend of mine introduced him to me online, and he's like, hey, he's looking for writers, and you're a funny dude. And so I wrote a couple of stories down. One of them, me and my friends one was from the Ranger Regiment, like I was back in the day, making fun of Jesse Ventura, the Body. Who has a nickname like the Body, by the way?
Well, how many people are actually professional wrestlers?
Touche, my good man. So, I won the writing contest. He thought it was funny. I kept writing for it. I had no idea that he was still doing the Fortune 50 thing, and this was just sort of the side thing. Because during the day, I'm in the back. I was at the University of Illinois at the time. I'm like in the very back on the Wi-Fi, like talking to him on GChat, and he's like at his cubicle, like talking back to me. We're just having a good time. And he started asking me my opinion on shirts, and I got the vision of what he was trying to do. And 6 months later, I started working outside sales, calling, cold calling, and opened up some new accounts and things like that. And then, his partner at the time just had a very different idea of what he wanted to do with the business than Nick did. So they just decided that it was best to, part ways, and Nick bought him out. He calls me up on a Monday. He's like, all right, it happened. I have full control of everything, and I want you to come to Durham. I was living in St. Louis at the time, to be the head of operations, be the COO of the company, and let's do this. I'm like, well, what's this look like? He's like, well, I can give you a little bit of money, not a lot, very small amount of money, and I got a guest bedroom. I'm like, okay. I had a couple other offers that I.
So to be chief of operations.
Yeah, head of COO, head of operations.
Which C-level position in a corporation. That's you expect you're going to get all kinds of perks. There's going to be a limousine that picks you up and takes you.
No, I wouldn't go that far. But like I knew that it was a very young company and a startup, and I just knew that there was a potential to do something great. Like from the minute he pitched his vision of what he wanted the organization to be, like I saw it, I believed it.
One of the reasons it's so important, and I'm jumping in on you on that, because there is this sense of entitlement out there, because everybody talks about giving stuff to veterans, giving jobs to veterans, doing all this stuff, and you had to work your ass off to get to where you are now, both you and Nick.
The thing was that he gave me the offer, and the funny part about it was I'm like, what's this look like? It was Thursday, it's a Monday. I'm like, Nick, a couple of days here, I was living with someone at the time, a very serious relationship, or not, whatever. I'm like, this is like, he goes, no, you don't understand. I need you here Thursday. And I'm like, you know what?
It's not like an option.
Yeah, I woke up next morning, Tuesday, I'm like, this is the opportunity that I want. This is something that if I work hard, I will be rewarded. I'm going to go do it. And to your point, and you and I were actually talking this with Joe Yorio, who's over at Vertex, and has actually been a CEO at dinner, is that no one, I tell people this, like I've got friends that are getting out and they're like, what I need to do and I want to do this and whatever. It's like, when you leave the military, your military experience can be a combat multiplier, or it can be the biggest thing that hurts you, because at the end of the day, I look at people, if I'm going to hire you into our company, we have 66, 2/3 of our employees are veterans, okay? Out of the other ones that aren't, I have the son of a corrections officer, I have the daughter of a career Air Force person, she grew up a military brat. Like, everyone in our company has a very close proximity to either law enforcement or military. Like, everyone is just tightly knit in this. You are not going to find a more friendly potential person if I'm looking for the job and you're applying than me. But you want to know what? If you can't come into my organization and solve a problem for me, which is why I'm hiring you, or add value with you being there and you being creative, what other job, like create value and solve problems, I don't care that you're a veteran.
Right.
I don't care that you're this. It's
Right.
like, because at the end of the day, what I'm looking for as an employer is someone who's going to add value and solve problems. Because that's what you need. That's why.
Mike, you got somebody on hold out there?
And you know, there it is. Like he's got. You guys can't see Mike on screen.
Yeah, he's right over there in the corner.
He's got his arms full. He's got his sunglasses on. And he's like, yes, like, you know, it's like, hey.
And he's lining up some folks. So
bounce you out of here,
so we're gonna keep moving.
Okay.
Tommy and,
Yeah, no,
Adam Bird just texted me, said you sounded good, and to say hello. So he is monitoring us remotely to make sure that I'm not pushing the wrong buttons and all of that stuff. So.
Adam, again, brother, thank you so much for supporting the Veteran Entrepreneur Program, which is where I was going to go next. But
you know what we're going to do though before we get done tonight is let's talk about that, and I'll insert that clip later on because I want to make sure I've got the handheld microphone. We can grab it during dinner, after dinner.
Do that. But for all those veterans out there that are looking for employment, just remember that if you can add value and solve problems for the organization, your military background is a huge asset.
Huge asset.
It's awesome. It will serve you well.
Tommy, thank you.
Pleasure to see you, Carl.
All right.
See you around.
Have fun tonight. You next?
Just a few questions about
Ranger, how are you?
Good, sir.
Have a
How
seat.
you doing?
We've got a live microphone here, and we're doing actually a live YouTube simulcast here. So we're ultimate techno, whatever you want to call going on. Ranger Mark Messerschmitt is recently left the military. You retired.
I've been retired about 2 years now.
Spent some time enlisted and spent some time as an officer.
Yes, sir.
Spent some time in the regiment.
I spent a lot of time in the regiment.
How long?
A lot of time at the RTB.
How long? What was your total military career? How long was it?
I did 22 years. In the last 11 years that I was in, I spent 8 of those years with the 75th Ranger Regiment. And I spent 2 of those years out here at the Ranger Training Brigade. So, as far as rangering goes, I know quite a bit about it.
And you are a best Ranger competition winner.
I did. I won the competition with Rick Ahern in 2000. We were second lieutenants right out of the pre-officer basic course. You know, we both.
With a little bit of help from your enlisted background.
It was funny because after we won the competition, I heard this one guy say, "Man, they send these lieutenants to an awful lot of schools these days." And we both had Pathfinder. We both had been master-rated parachutists. We had expert infantryman's badges and things like that. So it was kind of funny to hear that guy. He didn't realize that we had the prior enlisted background.
Yep. And you've been off active duty now for 2 years.
Been on for 2 years.
How was your transition? Were you able to move pretty easily from one to the other?
You know, I think Rangers are resilient.
Mm-hmm.
Rangers can do anything from going overseas, closing with and destroying the enemy, to moving very swiftly into the private sector. And I think it has its fair share of challenges. There's some there's differences, but I think overall I've done pretty well.
What would be your number one recommendation for a kid leaving active duty? Or maybe it's not a kid, maybe it's somebody that's 45 and been in for 25 years. What would you tell them on their way out?
Well, that's a hard question to answer right now because I felt like for the last 2 days being down here and being around all my buddies, I feel like I've got a big hole right here that this experience coming back down here, because this is my first time back to Fort Benning around my old friends in 2 years, and I feel like being here has kind of filled that hole. So I would encourage those young guys to stay in as long as they can and enjoy every minute of it. But if there was somebody that was really serious about transitioning out, obviously education is good. I would tell them to keep an open mind and look at all the different opportunities that are given to them, and just be flexible and able to move and do different things, and good things will happen to you. I think I've seen a lot of veterans. I have several that work for me that they came out as E5s, E6s, and they've moved in and they've moved up very quickly. You can tell who those guys are. They're very disciplined, they're motivated, they're very hungry, and they're hardworking.
Yep.
Sure are.
You said something there about a hole when you came back, and something that I'm interested in your perspective on this, because I've talked to a number of soldiers and Rangers that maybe did 3, 6, maybe 10 years and then got out, went back to school or whatever, and then when it came time for a reunion event, whether it was a smaller unit or whether it was coming back here for Best Ranger or Ranger Rendezvous, there was a reluctance to come back because they felt like they had left a unit that was actively deploying, that had a mission that was ongoing, and some of them feel like they kind of walked away from that. Is that fair to say?
I think that's fair to say. I think
and like they would not be received when they come back. And that's not been my experience. Generally, the community is very happy to welcome somebody back after they've been gone for a little while and get reconnected and find out what life is like on the outside and all of that. Any comments or thoughts on that?
Well, I ran into Colin Bowley. He's a first sergeant. And the year that I won, he's a first sergeant in, well, he's in the Ranger Special Troops Battalion now, but he's spent a lot of time in 3rd Ranger Battalion. He and I go way back. And actually, the year that I won the Best Ranger competition, he finished 2nd. He's one of those guys that he just loves to talk trash, and he's very good at it. And he didn't even allow me to get out of the parking lot before he started on me. So I don't feel that I
Did
missed
you just show him the medal?
But he was real quick to jump on me as soon as I got out of the car. So from that perspective, I don't feel like I missed a beat. I mean, it was great coming back and seeing all my old friends. And we went out last night and linked up with a bunch of folks that we hadn't seen in quite a while. So it's been a great reunion, a great homecoming. And for anybody that is listening out there that have left military units, if you ever have an opportunity to go back and link up with some of your buddies, I would highly recommend doing it because it's a great time.
And if there isn't something scheduled, make something scheduled. Put something together and invite a couple of guys to come to your community and have a barbecue or something.
The world got a lot smaller with the invention of the internet.
Very much.
And, you can reach out to folks through the internet and bring people together. I'm a big fan of LinkedIn. I'm LinkedIn with probably 12 or 1,500 people now. Some private sector colleagues, but most of them are military, and it's a great way to keep in touch with people and see what they're doing, where they're living.
It really is.
It is.
Yep. Well, thanks for being here,
Yes,
and thanks for your service, and hope you have a fun time this evening.
Well, I appreciate all you're doing for those wounded warriors out there. It's great to see Mike Schlitz here this weekend, and
He keeps me on my toes, I'll tell you that.
Several times. I appreciate what you're doing for him. He's a close personal friend, and
yeah, mine as well.
I've stayed real close with him over the years, and you've made a difference in his life.
I appreciate you saying that. Thanks, Mark.
Sir.
All right.
Bye now.
If you see Mike out there, tell him next. Almost like a barbershop, we should have numbers or something. Take a number and wait in line. But when you got somebody that's a former Best Ranger competition winner or one of the first sergeants and 2nd Ranger Battalion, you can't really just say, hey, stand there and wait for a minute, because they've earned the right to step into this building and do whatever they want. If you have never visited Ranger Training Brigade headquarters, I think I said earlier, right now I'm in one of the little side offices there, and this is one that they planned the events around, so there's just junk everywhere because people have done this. Oh, excellent, thank you. One thing that I could do is get this big old bag out of the way. So what we doing? Candace left her bag, and it had hair curling irons and stuff in it. So, Sergeant Major Smith, have a seat.
How you doing, buddy?
Hey, I'm doing well. This is your target here, is that gray microphone piece.
Okay,
and we're actually on a YouTube broadcast right now, so be careful where you scratch.
Absolutely.
And we're going out on the Vets on Media, the New American Veteran Show.
Okay,
And this will be archived so you can listen to it later. And what we're doing is just talking to Rangers as they come through here, and what has been your, I guess, quick summary of your military background, and then what are you doing now?
Okay. Well, good to be here. It's always good to see the guys and be around with everybody. I spent 26 and a half years, almost 27 years in the military. Retired, coming up on 2 years now.
Did you go in straight out of high school, or?
No, I spent.
Because you look like you're about 35.
Yeah, well, thank you. It's
and I'm serious, and I'm not just complimenting you.
No, I did not. I was out 2 years from high school. I graduated when I was 17. I joined when I was 19.
Mm-hmm.
And first duty assignment was Fort Campbell. Spent a couple of years there, then Korea, then Fort Rucker, Alabama. I spent about 4 years down there with the Pathfinder unit. And then I went to 75th Ranger Regiment in 91, and I stayed there about 17 years. Was at 375 mainly. Was the ops at 175. Came back, stood up the STB as the first sergeant major there at the STB.
And what is the STB?
The Regimental Special Troops Battalion.
Mm-hmm.
So it used to be the detachment for the older guys. It was the detachment for the regimental. So you had the RD, and you had the MI detachment and the signal detachment. All them guys was detachments. So what we done was put a company commander and the first sergeant over the top of them, and the 05 headquarters over the top of that.
Mm-hmm.
And myself and Brian Eichler was fortunate enough to be selected as the first commander and sergeant major for that. And then stayed there right at a year. And then Sergeant Major Chris Hardy and I flip-flopped. He was at 175 and I was at the STB.
And Sergeant Major Hardy was like an E3 when I was at 175 a long time ago.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he came back and took over. He was 175 Sergeant Major, and he took over STB, and I took over 175 in November. Stayed there for almost 3 years. Came back here, then retired. I stayed here at the RTB as the Brigade Sergeant Major almost 3 years, and I retired. May was 2 years ago.
And now you have your own business here in Columbus.
I do. I started a business here called Uncommon Athlete. It's over on First Avenue. Kind of started out it spun from this. I never had a plan of going, I'm going to retire and open a gym. But it's a fitness facility. It's a functional fitness facility, just focusing on activities of daily living and type stuff. But really, it started from here. One PT test here one morning. We had over 100 lieutenants fail the PT test.
Wow.
And mainly push-ups.
Coming into Ranger School.
Coming into Ranger School. Day one PT test, over 100 failed. And Mike Stout and I talked about it offside. Like, man, something's going on. We talked to the lieutenants and said, hey, what was the problem? And they said basically, I just wasn't prepared. I was not physically prepared, and we were shocked. So kind of stemmed from that and started. And so I run a Ranger program now. So it's a pre-Ranger type thing that we do. Done really, really well. I've had about 80 in the past 2 years.
Adam wants you to lean forward just a little bit. He says he's having a little trouble hearing you.
All right. Sorry about
He'll
that.
let me know here in just a minute.
Yeah, how about that? Is that a little bit
That's
better?
good. Yeah, I got you loud and clear. I'll back that down just a little bit.
So, no, I got about 2 years ago, we opened the facility. As a matter of fact, May the 7th would be 2 years that we opened the doors. I am now the sole proprietor.
Did you start off with a partner?
I did. I started out with Mike Stout and Josh Pence, both from here. We decided we was going to do that. We've done pretty well with the program, with the Ranger program. About 80 guys in the past 2 years has been, and we only had 2 that hasn't gotten in the course. So we can prepare them if they.
What does it cost somebody to come and do that? Go through that.
So it just depends on the number of days per week that you want to come. So we got anywhere from 2 days to unlimited, and it's anywhere from $85 to $127. And I offer military discounts and things like that for different packages.
What you said, functional fitness as well. Do you work with other sectors of the population?
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, probably 60% of my clients is females, civilians, females, which was a big turn for us.
A little bit of us, yeah.
Change, like, oh, wait, we got to think about something here.
Probably don't. We don't even have a woman's room now.
That's exactly right. No, it actually turned out to be really, really good for us. We've got some really, really great athletes down there. We've got a few military, but the most are civilian that we have. It comes in really, really good people. I've got them from 13 years old and 75 pounds to 65 years old and up to 400 pounds. So I've got all walks, and we do everything. Main background for programming. I mean, I do the programming, but the Ranger Athlete Warrior is the main, coming from the 75th Ranger Regiment, their program of fitness.
And that is what, for those that don't know?
The RAW program is the Ranger Athlete Warrior is the program that the 75th Ranger Regiment started several years back. I was injured a couple times. I was injured, but the guys.
You can't serve in the regiment and not get injured some way, somehow.
Right. Somehow or another, you're gonna get bumped and bruised up. And the Ranger Athlete Warrior program actually rehabbed me back stronger and better every single time that I had to go out and come back. So it worked really, really well. And then I just liked it and enjoyed it and got better at it. And then learned how to do it and got certified in doing it, and it was great. It's part of the Thor 3 program now that U.S. SOCOM and the Special Operations Command has adopted. So they've got a conditioning strength coach, they got a physical therapist, they've got their own PTs, they got everything that they need in their.
And it's very geared towards what your job is or what you expect you're going to have to do.
Lifting, turning, twisting, pulling, in kit, without kit. And so what we do is basically the same thing. I mean, we're twisting, pulling, dragging, lifting, doing things. We do Olympic lifts and things as well with barbells and dumbbells, but I've got chains and kegs and rubber bands and sleds and sandbags and things as well. And that's what the civilian population really, really likes about it, because nobody ever knows what they're going to do when they get in there. I don't offer some workouts until they get in the door. And
nothing else like that.
It's nothing like it here.
Yeah.
We got a little niche, so it's working.
Yeah, nice. Good. What in transitioning, you went, like you said, you just kind of planned to follow your passion, open a fitness facility, but you're retired. You really didn't. As long as you had a place to go work out and be during the day, that's probably good enough for you.
Right.
But it naturally kind of grew from that, but it didn't just happen because you opened the door, hung a sign out, and people started coming. You probably, once you realized you had something, you had to start going out. I mean, the women didn't just come line up.
Right. Well, I tell you, it's down on First Avenue, which is right downtown. So for the guys who went to the Cannon and stuff the other night down on Broadway, we're 1 block on the other side of the Cannon. So it's a great location down there. But no, it didn't. And I've learned a lot about it.
Sergeant Major Smith, I'm gonna have to cut you off here for a minute because I got General Grange over here. I'm gonna bump on the line here real quick.
He definitely gets the floor. Sir, how are you? Good to see you. You doing okay? How you been?
I'm doing fine.
Good, good, very good. Come on in, have a seat right here.
Trouble with the eyes these days.
Yeah, I know the deal. Good to see you.
Okay, good to see you.
Yeah.
General Grange,
What is
Carl
it?
Laundry, it's good to see you again. This is, I'm going to have you aim kind of towards that gray thing. There's an organization out there called Vets on Media, and it's a group of veterans. Thank you, Sergeant Major Smith.
Thank you, Sergeant.
A group of veterans that have developed an internet broadcasting company.
Yeah.
So we're not only going out right now through audio, but we also, this is a YouTube broadcast here that we'll have archived so that other folks can listen to it. And in my part, what I do with Gallant Few, your son is on our advisory committee, we try to make sure that, especially in the world of the Rangers, when you leave active duty and you go back, first we tell them, stay on active duty. Don't get out of the Army.
Yeah.
Good place to be. But once you have to get out, whether you're hurt or you're retiring or it's just time for you to get out, right, we want to connect that Ranger with a hometown Ranger buddy, and one that is in the same profession that the younger Ranger wants to follow. So if a Ranger wants to open his own business, I want to connect him with a Dennis Smith that has opened his own gym so they can talk about how do you go from point A to point B. Or if a guy wants to be an accountant, then how do you go from being a Ranger to being a CPA? Well, I know Rangers that are now CPAs, so we can help guide them through that path. So, and having the opportunity here, I asked Candace if we could do a little broadcast here so that we could get some of the legends of the Ranger community, and Lieutenant General Grange, you sir absolutely are a legend of the Ranger community. The best Ranger competition is named for you. And when did you come into the Army?
1943.
1943. And how many conflicts did you serve in?
3.
3 conflicts? And that was, I know Korea and Vietnam. I didn't know if you were World War II or not.
World War II. I was in the 517th Parachute Infantry in Europe. And
you look too young to be a World War II veteran. That's why I was fumbling on that one.
Yeah.
Oh, that's.
And Korea and Vietnam.
I knew Korea and Vietnam for sure. Where did your Ranger time start?
I started right here when I came back from Korea in 1953. I came out here as I had to go to the Ranger course, and then I was an instructor out here for 2.5 years. Yeah.
And
then I came back and commanded. I had the department.
At that time, it was the Ranger Department.
The department. I had that for almost 3 years, and then I came back and commanded Fort Benning too.
And when you were in charge of the Ranger Department, what time frame was that?
1970 73.
70 73. So you trained a lot of the leaders 71
to 73. Yeah.
So those leaders became the first platoon leaders and squad leaders as 1st and 2nd Ranger Battalion started up.
I was here when they put the 1st Battalion together. I was just leaving it. I was a brigadier, and I was leaving. But I helped to come up with the TONE and the organization.
When did the Best Ranger competition start? Were you part of the impetus behind starting that?
I had nothing to do with it at all. It was a great man named Dick Leandry. There's a picture of him right down the hall here. He was a very wealthy real estate guy from Florida that was up here. He used to had some program set up to designate a drill sergeant of the year over Sand Hill. And then he came out to the Rangers and see what was going on here. And he liked this Rangers thing. When I left, he got with Dewey Cameron, who was the department director, Colonel Cameron, and they put this thing together. So I wasn't here for the first one. I made every one since then. I made 30. I made 29 of these. Those would be the 30 now. But I made 29 of these. My wife made the first one, and it was done right down on Field 4. And
at that time, it was there weren't crowds of people. There were family members that were probably out there cheering them on, but there weren't like now. Today at Todd Field it really is.
This is a wonderful, wonderful few days here for the whole Ranger world.
Well, unless you're actually competing, then it kind of sucks.
It probably does suck. That's right.
Sir, what have you done since you left active duty?
Well, I was down as a consultant for a few defense firms, and then I really got involved in training the Battle Clan Training Program, which is combat training. All of it is simulated. It's all computer supported. I did that for 18 years. Brigades, divisions, and corps for the Army. So I never really left the Army for another 18 years. I was still going into talks at night and getting briefs in the evening, briefs in the morning.
I went through that as a staff officer too. I did.
I did it for 18 years and I loved it. I loved every minute of it. I felt like I never left the Army. I was still with soldiers.
Well, you've had an impact on the military that is really unparalleled with your leadership through.
I've been very lucky. I've been very, very lucky.
But that luck comes from a lot of hard work too. That doesn't just happen.
Yeah, well, you were saying, the harder you work, the luckier you get.
And now your son is well known in the Ranger community, and your grandson just graduated from Ranger School last year.
Last year, he's right here now doing the reconnaissance course. He's a first.
And there's no pressure on a third generation
and it will be here Sunday because he graduates from that reconnaissance course on Monday, and my son will be here. So there'll be 3 Ranger Grangers on the post again. And I think I've told you this before, but it's indicative of the kind of leader that you are. When your son took command of the regiment, I was the 175 personnel officer, and so we're doing the rehearsals out in front of Building 4, and during one of the breaks for the rehearsals the day before the change of command, they called for all the staff officers to come up front. So we all run up to the front door, which is not nearly as nice then as it is now. They've redone that whole area, and there's waterfalls and so I run up there, and there's this gentleman that's standing there, and I said, "Sir, how are you?" And you said, "Well, I'm doing just fine, thank you very much." And I said, "What brings you out today?" And you said, "My son's in the ceremony." And I said, "Well, awesome, sir. I hope you have a great day." And then they called us back out there, and then they said, "And now Lieutenant General Grange will come forward." And you walked out there, and I was like, Yeah,
"Sir,
well, I've been very lucky.
thank you very much."
And so something like this is really a thrill for me every moment because I see all my old friends, and every one of them is successful.
It's a pleasure to have you on the show. Thank you,
very
sir.
much.
Thank you for leadership and service to the military, to the country.
Thanks for the moment to tell you how much I love the Rangers.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. That was a good idea.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
Thanks for the opportunity.
Oh, absolutely.
I'll always go to say good things about this bunch. I'll tell you, statistically, Andrew, right there with his.
There he is. His picture's right there. Okay, so.
That's my wife right there. There's Lois. Pistols out that day. I had to go somewhere. I was out in 6th Army, and so I couldn't come back. So she did that. See if I get that blonde?
Oh, yeah.
Good-looking blonde.
Beautiful. Thank you, sir. Save the best for last.
Oh, yeah, time to close it on home, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, Mike, tell me about we got people that are watching this now or that will watch it that they don't have any idea who we are. Hopefully, there will be thousands and thousands and thousands of them that do. But tell them just a little bit about you, your military background.
Came in 1996, infantry guy. No big stuff on my contract. Had to work my way up. And I can remember I got to Fort Campbell, and they sent me off to Air Assault School. And there's 3 phases. Every 3 days you graduate a phase. And I go to my new platoon sergeant who didn't only barely knew my name. He's like, "Did you pass? Yeah. Moving on to the next phase. Can I do anything for you? Yeah. Send me to Ranger School. How do you get through this school first?" And I came back after graduating the next phase. "Hey, can I do anything for you? Send me to Ranger School." I came back, graduated the 3rd phase, going into the road march. Do anything other than Ranger School? Oh, can I go to pre-Ranger? And it was just constantly harassing them. And then, the next day was the road march and graduation.
Keep talking, Mike. What do you need?
And, it was just, I came in first place for the road march. And then they're like, normally we give you a 4-day weekend and you'd be off on your way. But we're doing a 10-mile run tomorrow. And we know you did 12 miles, but can you do it tomorrow? And I took 3rd place for my age group. And then Monday I started pre-Ranger. And it just kind of put me in the right direction to have a good career. Deployed in 06 to Iraq, Southeast Baghdad.
Before that, you were Ranger instructor?
Did a few
Spent some time here?
4th RTB from 02 to 06. Then left here and pretty much deployed right away.
And you went to 10th Mountain?
2nd Brigade, 10th Mountain. And, basically the first 6 months I was in country, road clearing or infantry missions. We had a platoon that was attached to engineers. Young guys weren't getting the infantry experience, so we just kind of flip-flopped. their mission became mine. I came road clearing, and unfortunately, I got hit with a roadside bomb. It killed my driver, my gunner, my medic, threw me from the vehicle, but not before I was on fire. And it was the guys on the ground that kind of saved my life that day. They were quick decision, making sure the assets got called in, and then from there on.
A great example of training, but by training and reinforcing those drills, that's what saved your life.
Oh, absolutely, and just everything from the cross training, the medical training, the technology that we have to be able to get to the guys on the battlefield, everything kind of all combined into being able to save one life.
And when you were evacuated, then you spent how long in a coma?
Medically induced coma for 4 months. The first 4 months, spent 6 months in ICU, 4 more months in the burn ward, and then about another 2 years as an outpatient.
And when your unit redeployed, when they came back to the States, you made sure you were there.
I did. It meant a lot to me because you always wonder, okay, how are they making along? How are they doing? And you always read the stories about guys wanting to send information. Unfortunately, I wasn't even walking then. I was head-to-toe bandages. But a lot of great organizations, Veterans Airlift Command, Sentinels of Freedom, they all kind of combined in to make sure I could be there, and sure enough, I was.
Veterans Airlift Command has done an awful lot for you and for other severely wounded veterans, and they deserve a shout out. That's an organization that everyone should support. Veterans Airlift Command.
When a soldier can't fly commercially, can't get somewhere they need, private general aviation guys who own planes and have pilots will donate their planes to get them wherever they need to go, and their families.
Yep. Yeah, that's an amazing thing. So now you live in Texas right now, San Antonio, and because you needed to be close to Brooke Army Medical and the support systems they had there, but you're getting ready to move here to Georgia.
I'm looking forward to moving here to Georgia. I'm ready to get what I call being back
You
home.
spend more time here than you do at home anyway.
I spend no time in Texas, really. Always on the road, but hopefully I'll take some downtime once I get moved here later on towards the end of summer.
And talk a minute about the Sinise Foundation, because you are a Sinise ambassador.
I am. I've known Gary Sinise for about 5 years. Kept running into him at different events. He finally asked me to come speak at one of his, and like a couple days later, he calls me at home and says, "Hey, how would you like to come on board?" And of course, you don't say no to him. So now I've got to learn a little bit more about him working with Gold Star families, building these smart homes, including my own home here in Georgia, and putting on these concerts, these spirit festivals at different posts, and it's all done for free. And what's unique about his organization is 100% of the proceeds that they raise go back to his programs.
100%. He doesn't
100%.
take anything out of it.
He takes nothing, and they do have paid employees, but it doesn't come out of the money raised.
That's amazing. That's absolutely incredible. I want to talk real briefly, because you're wearing a Gallant Few shirt, about your role as special advisor to the board. You and I have been, I consider you one of my best friends now, but when we first met here, gosh, almost 4 years ago, 2010, when we first met, it was as Gallant Few was just starting, and you gave me a tremendous amount of guidance and inspiration and motivation as I was going through my own transition at that time to start developing Gallant Few into something that was real. And so I owe you a debt of thanks for the work that you did with that. But now you stay involved, making sure that we're in between the lanes, we're doing the things that we're supposed to do, and I appreciate you doing that. You want to talk just a little bit about your involvement with Gallant Few?
I believe in Gallant Few's mission. There is a lapse in the transition piece right now. I think there's a lot of people want to help. A lot of people are doing what they can to figure it out. But bottom line, our veterans still need help when they get back to these local communities. And so anytime I can raise awareness, anytime I can help get some people pointed in your direction, whether it's a veteran, a sponsor, anybody, I think it's important to keep raising that awareness. And that's my biggest part, or my biggest contribution to Gallant Few. And in my life, I travel so much, spending almost 300 days a year on the road. I touch a lot of veterans. And a lot of veterans don't know about Gallant Few, so I can say, hey, well, why don't you get involved? Why don't you be a mentor? Why don't you ask for help?
And there have been some severely wounded veterans and some caregivers that are dealing with all of the things that go with that I've referred to you and to your mom. Because when you have somebody that's an amputee and they're struggling and they're going through how do they live with that, how do they deal with the new reality, for you to say, you're at point A now, but look where you're going to be in a couple of years. And that any time that you can connect with somebody that's walking the same path or has been down the same path that you've been, it's tremendously valuable.
Oh, it is. And I mean, when I was in the hospital, I can remember being in the burn ward. Guys that were 3 years down the road go, "Hey, I know you're bandaged up right now. No, you can't walk right now," but I was exactly there 3 years ago. So it just gives us something to look forward down the road.
One of the things that I've seen kind of consistent through transition, when somebody, it might not be a severe transition as you got blown up and you ended up losing your arms and burned severely, which causes you to, today life sucks, but to think about what's going to be a year later, if you're going through a job loss or something where life really sucks today and you think, I can't even pay the bills tomorrow, how am I going to get by? Invariably it gets better. You have to hang in there, you got to stay with it, you have to work hard, because you did not learn how to work those arms by just laying in the bed and hoping that somebody would invent something that worked. You worked your butt off to be able to figure out how those things worked. And I know it's not easy, and it can be frustrating at times, but you have to take charge and control of yourself, because nobody else is going to do that for you. And this is an example right here of somebody that's taken control of themselves, their own destiny. And you said you're going to speak with a fairly large insurance company here in a couple of weeks. Can you talk any about that? Or
Going to be speaking for a small managerial group for Farmers Insurance in Mississippi. Looking forward to it. They got a hold of me. Really, it's more about, in today's economy, there's a lot of hardship. We have a lot of people unemployed. They're still growing. They still want people to come in, so they want more veterans involved with their company.
Nice. Well, we're coming up on just a couple of minutes before the YouTube broadcast is going to stop, and I want to make sure we talk about Tim Kennedy real quick. You want to talk about this?
Oh, absolutely. Just spent some time with Tim Kennedy out in New Mexico at Greg Jackson's MMA gym through Ranger Up. He's 100% focused right now on beating Michael Bisping. There's kind of a love-hate relation, or there's really no love, but mostly hate at this point for each fighter. And so I'll be going up to Quebec City in Canada to watch him fight Wednesday on Fox Sports 1 against Michael Bisping.
So it's not pay-per-view, so everybody can watch.
Everybody can DVR it, watch it on the spot, go back, watch it with your kids. But as far as Tim's fight, the people, his opponents, this is his big fight. This is the one that's going to really compel him. He's already doing well in the UFC, but I think of the opponents he's faced, Michael Bisping's his toughest so far.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough fight. It's going to be a real tough one. You're going to get to go up there. You're going to be in the corner?
I won't be in the corner, but I'll be pretty close.
Yeah, that's good. That's going to be an awesome deal. So they are Kennedy Bisping. They're the headline fight. So they're going to be the last fight, and it's a 5-round fight. And so I believe the broadcast starts at like 6:30 in the evening, but there's going to be probably 10 fights before Kennedy comes up.
Well, not all the fights will air on the Fox Sports 1. Some are done through the Facebook, some are done through the UFC Pass, and then you'll have 5 fights on the main card, which you'll have on Fox Sports 1.
Yeah, so if you're not able to get on right at 6:30, don't worry, because it's going to be a couple hours before Tim fights, but get on there and watch that.
And this is the Ultimate Fighter finale, so there's several fights that involve with the
that's right.
finale. And then they always have the headliner, and Tim and Michael Bisping are the headliner.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. Well, Mike, thanks for being here. Thanks for your service, and appreciate everything you do.
Everybody who's listening real quick that served, I want to just thank them for their service.
Outstanding. Thank you, Mike. All right, we're going to close down the broadcast. Thank you for joining us today. If you're listening to this later, you can learn more about GallantFew at gallantfew.org. That's GALLANTFEW.org. I don't know for sure if it's going to appear on the bottom of this Google broadcast or not, but that's one of the things. If it's not, I'm going to make sure that it does. My thanks to Vets on Media. And, real quick before we close, Gallant Fuse, the new American veteran, is proud to be part of the Vets on Media network. One of the things that I do at the end of every close is I play taps, and I don't do that in a sad way. I do that in a respectful way, because for all those who have gone before us, for those who are serving us today, and for those that serve us tomorrow, my prayers, my thanks for your safety, and to be able to come back to an event like this and touch it and be a part of it is just phenomenal. I encourage you to do that. Find your local military installation if they've got some sort of an event that you can go participate in. Go do that. So here again, like I said, in honor of all those who have served, are serving now, or will serve. Thank you for joining us on the New American Veteran.